Hi, it's Hazel, and welcome to my channel, Hazel and Aka Design. If I have an extra smile in my voice today, it's because I just finished watching Carol from Crinkled Path do her Masterboard Madness collab video, which means it is March 30th as I'm doing this video. I'll just digress here for a moment before I get on with showing you this part of a book haul. I am so grateful to everyone who said yes when I came a-calling, asking them to participate. I love doing masterboards, and it seems a lot of other people do too, and it's been so gratifying. Carol, of course, was the first person I asked, and she very graciously agreed to do it, although she was in the midst of a big move. Moving from a place that they had been at for decades. Sorry, I'm just having a little trouble with my drawer here. Something is binding. So can you imagine being in that state of flux? Not knowing where your jeans are. Last I heard, she still can't find her jeans. As well as she chose it, she willingly chose to participate. And just working under those kinds of conditions. So that just shows what kind of troopers are among this group of people who said yes. I highly encourage you to watch all the videos because the people are incredible. Okay, I have a stack of books here. It's a mixed bag. I didn't have enough to theme them together as kids' books or cookbooks or whatever. But I think, for most of us, we are book lovers. And honestly, it doesn't really matter what the type of books are, because we see the possibilities in what we can do with them. We can either add them to our library, we can deconstruct them, we can repurpose covers, we can fussy cut images, we can appreciate foreign languages. We may not have any clue what it is that we're seeing, but we love the look of the different fonts and languages that are out there. I think it's safe to say that most of us gravitate to illustrations versus photographs. We gravitate to matte paper versus glossy. But, when push comes to shove, it's paper. We love it, and we're going to make it work. We're going to keep it from being discarded, abused, and we're going to turn it from something that we love to something we love even more. So let's begin. This is a coil-bound cookbook, and as a rule, you can't go wrong with a cookbook. And again, some of these books I'm basically seeing for the first time with you. There aren't enough hours in the day to thrift. So when a person is in that situation, or at least what I do, is like I don't try to, when I enter a place, especially if it's the first time, I don't try to make like I'm desperate or that I am, I must make a beeline to wherever, because I kind of trust in the universe. I trust that if I'm meant to have something, it will be there. And if I'm not, it won't be. It's as simple as that. So I guess what I'm saying is I do kind of a cursory. For instance, if I start in the book area, I will go methodically, shelf by shelf. And if it looks like a book has promise, and again, you can't always tell by the spine, if it looks like the book has promise, I'll give it a cursory flip through and then move on. I didn't notice till this minute that every page kind of has almost like a burlap design type look to it. So that is kind of cool in itself. The font is, I would say, a dark brown or greeny brown. But the reason I took this, because goodness knows I haven't enough cookbooks, is because of these full page images. So that was basically all index. And again, you know I love indexes. Full page photographs. So let's just find a couple more to show you. Like, doesn't that just make you, like this would work in a cooking journal, in a sort of old-timey, nostalgic kind of journal. You know, the burlap sack with the grain, the dough, the bread dough that is rising in those pans. I mean, I'm the daughter of a baker, so those kinds of pans, that was part of my life. Again, it's the staging and the photography. I've never made a pie crust in my life, and maybe the world should be grateful for that. Cooking over a campfire. Even the chapter title pages are kind of different and cool. That could be in a gardening journal. That could be in a cooking journal. An old cast iron stove. Anyway, what was the year? Oh, it says 1989 there. First printing was 81. Oh, it got printed several times, which is not bad for just a sort of a district type cookbook. So I will be making a pile on the floor. This is kind of cute. Sedgwick is one of the small towns. I didn't research the population, but I think I might have said in another video that, you know, it's springtime, spring farm auction time. So when my husband decided that he wanted to go and look at a cultivator, I tagged along and was able to hit 4 thrift stores en route to that farmyard. So this is A Tale for Easter, Tasha Tudor. So you can just tell by those, like I wouldn't do an Easter journal, but we know that these are cute little images. It's sort of got that nostalgic feeling. Because the book is small, it's only 6 3/4 by 6 3/4. The images are small, so they could become focal points. It has, you know, cute little illustrations. I see that and I think of Sandy with her sheep rescue farm operation in Wisconsin. So that one is cute. This, I was surprised to find any little golden books. 2 of them you're not going to see because they were in sad shape. Each one was missing a cover. So I have, you know, finished the deconstruction of them and have begun putting them aside. This one is called Old Friends, New Friends, and it's a big little golden book. And it seems to be in mint condition. So for now, I will just add it to my collection. Whether something like this comes up in one of the live sales that Joni and I do, incidentally, it'll be over by the time you see this. So as it stands now, we are doing a live sale the first Thursday of every month. And Wilhelmina, Sandy, offered to be our moderator. And she is, in fact, going to be our guest seller as well. This one is The Classic Tale of Two Bad Mice. Now, it says based on the original story by Beatrix Potter, 8.5 by 8 1/4. Now, typically, like I hate mice in the real world, 1992. However, I think that my resistance to them is in pictorial mice, you know, holding their babies and rocking, sitting in a rocking chair, is somewhat diminishing. I don't know. This could very well end up for sale as well, because I know there are people who love mice more than I do. I mean, the book mice. Yeah, there's still a cringe-worthy factor there. I don't think I have to really say too much about this. I pick up ideals whenever I see them. Obviously, this is the wrong season to be attempting to sell an ideals Christmas, but I will add it to the ones that I do offer for sale periodically. This I thought was really cool. Number one, because of the cover. I could see reusing this cover. It's a hardcover. It is bigger than kind of our usual. 10 1/4 by 8 or 7 1/2. Oh, I haven't been telling you years. Anyway, wouldn't this make a great, especially if you did some sort of a focal point here, but left these granny squares? I mean, you don't have to do too much to make that a really cool cover. Now, the spine is rather skinny, so, most of us make journals that are thicker than that. This is 1977. Some foxing around the edges of the pages. Of course, as you would expect, it's got these how-to illustrations, both for crocheting and for knitting. And, before I do too much more with any of these books, I need to try to teach myself how to do a chain stitch in crocheting. I have to say, I'm not the sort of person who can typically, like, I could probably do that pretzel thing there, but honestly, some of these things, they might as well be a foreign language, because whether it's, like, I never could master macrame knots. I honestly don't know if I have the eye-brain connection that would allow me to decode this. But I can certainly try. And I guess that's really all we expect of ourselves, isn't it? That's really cool. So is that. This would be great as an element on, a collage masterboard type thing. The pages are not, they're kind of, I'd say, they're not glossy, but they're not matte either. They're somewhere in the middle. And again, have those 70s colors. Ooh, that's one awful looking doily. Yikes. Not my kind of color combination. So, of course, the possibilities are endless, both from a fussy cutting perspective, a collage perspective, and, of course, as I already mentioned, reusing the cover. See that? Oh, that's called window pane. Knitted Afghan. Yeah, we've all seen books like this, and if you see, I love that color combo. Can you imagine? You could make a tag out of that so easily. Anyway, we have to keep moving. I have lots to show you. I didn't specifically check to see whether I have this one. As a rule, I like to gravitate to the Reader's Digest books. We know that some are better than others. 10 1/4 by almost 8. Some are better than others in terms of what we are looking for. And by looking for, I mean illustrations. But on the whole, I would say that they are kind of a can't fail choice. So let's just, before I flip through it more, let's just see what the year is here. 1979. So as you can see, it's a thick book. Oh, what do we have here? Oh, something from a nursery. So a quick flip, you know, they always put the diseases in the back. So typically I don't think most of us are interested in those things. Although if they were used in a collage, you couldn't tell that they were the less desirable looking plants. The paper here is great again. And then there are, you know, the typical make your own terrarium, indoor greenhouse kind of thing. So we can skip past that. And even if you just end up using these as glue pages or as background paper on a collage or a masterboard, there's still lots to choose from. Can you see the possibilities with a page like this? Well, I guess there's several of them. It's so graphic. Oh, and there's so many of them. So, you know, if I were to take this book apart, I would keep all these pages together and I would do something pretty abstract with that. And then you can see, yes, we have illustrations to fussy cut or, you know, just square off. Like this particular one is, you know, if you made it 4 1/4, you wouldn't miss anything. You'd have the Latin name and the common name. You could make it 4, whatever I said, 4 inches, I guess, by 6. Even if you have this little bit of text here, well, you have 2 options. You can either cut it off there and just, you know, one and you're done. Or include that if you want that whole leaf to be there. And then cover that with, you know, a label or a piece of lace or whatever. So looks like these plants are alphabetical. Look at the lovely tulip. Cherry. Did you see the tulip? Oh, these are cute. Look at, they're so tiny. If you, and I have to do this, if you saw Marnell from Mimi's Keepsakes do her day on the Masterboard Madness, you know that she did masterboards with teensy weensy little, you know, like 1 inch square roughly, scraps. And then was looking for tiny little images like this to decorate her little mini masterboard. These in themselves could be, you know, torn or cut depending on your preference and used in a masterboard. So let me just speed up here a bit. Again, we're still, oh, here's a full page one. That's lovely. Philodendron. Geraniums. Sorry, I just want to go back here for a second. Here's another one. So those are tiny little orchids. I do have to check my bookcases, because if I have another one of these, then I feel like, oh, it's safe to take it apart. And I think you should definitely add it on your list of, you know, things to acquire if they come across your path. Now, if by some miracle, here are some greens, some ferns. If by some miracle I have 2 others of this, then of course I would offer this one for sale in cyclamen. Love those plants. And, you know, most of the colors that they come in are just right up my alley. Another so begonias. So this is where it begins. So there will be, some photography in the beginning. Again, not bad in terms of glossiness. Another section and here, plant shapes. This is cool as well. So this, if you had this in your library, you could be set literally for years. So again, that was Reader's Digest Success with Houseplants. Okie dokie. Now, you see a book you see the spine, you see the title. If the book display in the particular place is half decent, usually you looking at the spines will tell you whether you want to reach for it or not. Some of you may know that I am in search of Button Collectors Anonymous support group. When I do another part of this haul that is not book related, I bought more buttons. So I need to either start putting buttons on everything I create, or I need to find a way to group them in a way that people would be inclined to buy them. This one is called The Book of Buttons by Joyce. I'd say that's probably Whitmore. So hair over 11 by 8.5. So I would imagine the back is the same. So yes. I probably don't need to tell you the possibilities unless you're brand new here. Belly band, side pocket, 2 tags, 2 journaling cards, fussy cut focal points, let me look for the year before we get carried away. This too is lovely. And again, for those of us who find that color and colorways are what really inspire us and what guides our hand when we're creating, when we're organizing, when we're storing stuff, this looks good enough to eat. Like this, the blue-green combo is one of the classics. And again, because the images are enlarged, the possibilities for fussy cutting are so good. So this is one of those DK books, and it was 1992. Okay, let's see what we have here. Paper is good. Oh, covered buttons. I do have video, well, at least one, on covering buttons. And I need to do that again because it is a way to, to use up fabric bits. And I have a number of those kits, those button cover kits. Decorative fastenings. Okay, so here's where they're making frogs. Hey, Turkish head knots. Oh, I didn't know that you could make your own, but I'm telling you, that reminds me of something that I thrifted so long ago and haven't really figured out a way to use, so I need to maybe make that part of a video as well. Colorful clay buttons. So remember when Fimo was the thing? Millefiori buttons. This is also probably one of those books that, might be better off, in my case, being kept just as a sort of a reference book and a collector type book. Okay, I don't care for these pages, but they would have a place in like a little kid book or a whimsical book. Again, can you imagine just cutting around these little bits at the bottom here and letting those be part of a masterboard or a decorative element on a card? I do need to speed up here or we'll be here all day. I'll let this soak in for a moment. Knitting yarns. When choosing buttons for yarn, it's always advisable to look at a small knitted sample first, since every yarn knits up differently. Don't these things kind of look like dangles? That's a really cool way to photograph them. Patterned fabrics. Does this look perchance like a cluster, a fabric cluster? Black and white. Pastels. What I would call novelty buttons. Bows, and those are other little bows. Blues and greens. This book is so much better than I thought it was. Like, I knew I wanted it, but I honestly didn't look through it other than, you know, seeing the end papers. I might have to, okay, novelty buttons. Here are 2 pages. These are so cute. Little pencils, little sharpeners, little rulers. Oh my goodness. Hands and feet. Love clock faces. I need to do a mini series. Oh, more novelty buttons. Look at those little animals. The ladybugs are so cute. Anyway, I need to do a thing about buttons just to begin using my stash up. And of course, I'm not saying that my buttons are so special, although I do have some that are, well, I'll show you one day. At first I thought, when I first, I think I Google imaged them, I thought, oh my God, I've hit pay dirt. I'm going to be a millionaire. Unfortunately, I believe mine are replicas. Couturier style. So I should actually probably go through my buttons and sort them, you know, the more precious, desirable ones versus the run-of-the-mill ones that I should definitely be using. Oh my goodness. For those of you out there who love bright colors, who love primary colors, who love, you know, the children's books, and I'm thinking of Carrie, the Paper Monkey, and you know, people like that. This is to die for. Pearl shell buttons. See, this would be almost, like I say, almost worthwhile to keep as a reference, because sometimes being able to identify the shell buttons, I think, would be an asset. Ethnic, glitzy. Oh, look at this guy's suit. London's traditional pearly king outfits were invented by street vendors in the late 1800s. Designers are still influenced by their button-encrusted style. Okay, that can't be very comfortable to sit on. Maybe they leave the butt part blank, or, you know, undecorated. He's got a button or 2 on his outfit, on his sleeves. Anyway, that's a keeper, baby. This one, we know that there is no end of variations on a child's garden of verses, written by Robert Louis Stevenson. Quite often you'll see that they have been illustrated by what is her name? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I think you know. It's those images are in the public domain. This book, you know, it's got one of those, one of those covers. It is 11 1/4 by 8 1/4. This doesn't look like it's been opened. Does it say who has illustrated? Just lavishly illustrated. Oh, illustrated with more than 100 pictures by the most distinguished children's book illustrators of the late 19th and early 20th centuries. So maybe the name I'm searching for will be revealed. That looks like a woodcut of Stevenson. All sources are illustrated except as noted. Oh, Jesse Wilcox Smith. That's who I was trying to think of. This is good. It lists all of them. That lists all the illustrators page by page. So you can see some are black and white. Some are full color and much larger. We've all seen this boy before. This paper is a bit on the shiny side, but is that a deal breaker? No way. So that's a Jesse Wilcox Smith illustration. Some of these books, and I of course have multiple versions because, I'm a sucker for those kinds of things. Some of them are even more heavily illustrated than this. This is somebody called C.M. Bird, B-U-R-D. Wilcox Smith. Yeah, sometimes you can't really... Oh, that's just initials. So F.E. Who's F.E.? Page 77. Florence Edith Storer. Can't say I'm familiar with her. And because they've used a number of different illustrators, there are obviously different styles, but it's surprisingly cohesive as well. George Reiter Brill. And it's kind of true also that just like there's a lot of imitation and adaptation in the junk journal world and what people are doing, the same thing has always been true of artists. Most things aren't created in isolation. This one is Draw Like the Masters. Same sort of cover. I wonder if we fast forward, 50 or 100 years, if junk journalers and journal makers of the future are going to say, and remember in the 2000s when this was such a beautiful cover, and oh my goodness, what we can do with it. It's all kind of relative. So I thought this had promise. I have a huge collection of my own art books, but again, so far I've been loath to cut them up unless they have been, unless I have duplicates. So when I get a book like this, and I think I don't know what I paid for it, not much, I don't feel the same. I don't feel bad about taking it apart. And we know that a lot of these monochrome books are a great jumping off point for adding color. And whether you want scenery, landscape, maybe you want to do an homage to the human body and are looking for, nudes. Those kinds of books are the perfect choice. Okay, The Great Red Wall Feast. Oh, again, more mice. 11 by 7. I thought this was kind of cool in that the pages are all that sort of buttery yellow. And again, cute little things to punch out or cut out. And yeah, just, again, is this for me? Perhaps not, but it could certainly come to a sale. Maybe you love hedgehogs and are wondering where you can find one. Oh, that's a badger. I thought it was, for a minute there, I thought it was a skunk. I have a skunk story, but maybe today isn't the day. Okay, Rocks and Minerals. This one is 10 3/4 by 9. And you may, if you watched me for a while, you may know that I have a collection of these rocks and gemstones. And one day, you're going to see me doing something with them. And again, if I can find a soft color book like this that's richly illustrated or rich, with all these rich images, I would much rather cut this up, even if I have to choose between one side and the other, rather, oh, lovely, amethyst, and quartz, rather than me having to cut up something that I might have paid dearly for in a previous life. Do I need another cookbook? Hell no. 8 3/4 by 11. I like the fact that this is coil bound. I like the fact that it is landscape. And honestly, this could very well become a glue book, an art journal. It is so easy. I mean, the photography is great. The pages are somewhat glossy, but we know that a bit of sanding or gesso can take care of that. But, it looks like, and again, I didn't realize this in the store, that, every one of these has a nutritional information box. But, okay, suppose we picked this one. You could easily do a 2-page spread. This big photograph here could become the basis for your color scheme, and you let bits of it pop through. Now, of course, the minute you start adding additional layers and mixed media and things like that, then the size of the coil suddenly becomes too small. It's sort of like when you outgrow your clothes and you wonder, well, how the heck did that happen? Anyway, a person could obviously selectively pull out the pages that they might have another use for. So for instance, if a person was doing maybe something with strawberries, you pick out the strawberry pages. Anyway, I think this one is great. Did I tell you the date? 2018, so it's really quite new. And it is thick. Okay, my pile is getting a bit rickety there. Now, number 4. I have others of these Dean's books. Actually, it was Meg in Chasing Retros, Meg, that not first, but I saw her show this on the video she did about kids' books. And Sure enough, after the video, I looked around and I realized I've got that very book, or maybe one in the series. So the pages are, and the illustrations are beautiful. So I'm obviously going to have to compare this to the other one or two that I have and see if any of them are duplicates, in which case I then have a decision to make. Do I then feel that I can cut them up? Or do I feel like, well, I better share the wealth? So Dean's, and now if I'm not mistaken, this is a British illustrator. 1968, so it's old. Janet and Anne Graham Johnstone are the illustrators. So that is definitely a book to keep your eye out on. Eye out for. Oh, accidentally started a different pile here. If you may have seen me in a recent haul mention that I picked up a France travel guide. Well, all of a sudden I come across this Paris one. Again, this paper is really shiny, but I just know that there are millions of elements in here that can be used. So you may have heard through the grapevine that I love masterboards. Maybe I need to do a French map masterboard or street map masterboard. Maybe I need to do, you know, some of these other sort of touristy destination type photos as focal points. So, you know, don't, shall we say, don't turn your nose up at travel guides, especially if you're on the search for small things. Small things. Okay, let's go back to this pile of bigger books. I don't know how to say that. Bernardin, I don't know. Anyway, they're the people that make jars. Almost 11 by 8. And you may have guessed that I picked this one up because of the images. Oh, there's a recipe there. Pretty shiny paper. Okay, we don't care about all this stuff at the back. These will probably end up being glue pages, to be honest. But then you get into, well, there are some of these little black and white illustrations that could be, you know, sometimes I think I don't use my punches enough. So I have a square punch, well, and of course round ones as well, that may just work perfectly there. So obviously beautiful. And again, sometimes, you know, when you have a lot of books, it's easy to just end up stacking them, putting them in bookcases, making piles, covering every flat surface with piles of books. And honestly, before I started this whole journal making odyssey, my books were in, my library was alphabetical by order. Nonfiction was together. I didn't have a great deal of fiction, really. I mean, well, who am I kidding? I did have quite a bit of fiction, but I think my pride and joy was the nonfiction. Now, my whole system has gone to hell in a handbasket because I just keep adding and moving things around. And who's got time to reorder their library? Not this kid. Like, you know, how beautiful would this be, number one, in a strawberry journal or in a home ec type journal? Homemaking, preserving kind of journal. So anyway, the reason I started saying about the state of, what year is this? 1990. The reason I started talking about the organization and the piles is because in a case like this, where the book itself is maybe half usable to me and half not so usable, the wise thing, I would say, remove those staples. Why are there only 2 there? So remove the 3 staples and begin some serious sorting. Okay, so let's assume that those, well, let's pretend those staples are gone. I would make a pile of these, and I would make a pile of these. I have enough cookbooks and those types of books that these would then become glue pages because they are glossy. So let's just do, in case this is such a revolutionary idea to you, I'd look at this, I think, oh, okay, that has possibilities. And again, when all these things are pretty well the same size, those would probably end up being background images for a masterboard. I don't like this with the little hands and the, so I would choose this side. And obviously I'm not going to do this whole thing in front of you, but we can see that essentially this has come apart. So this I would leave this intact for the time being, knowing that, if I wanted to, I could cut this down and make it, so pretend it was cut there, a little teeny journal cover, well, 2 little teeny journal covers, or, something similar. So let's just put these components back in there. And this is good busy work during, watching videos or Netflix or whatever. I probably shouldn't have shown you this book because sometimes lately I've been picking books up. I've been deliberately picking up books that I know other people would be interested in. This one is 10 by 7.5. Now, Brenda, this may very well end up in your book. Now, I don't know a great deal about horses other than there are many varieties. There are working horses like Clydesdales and those guys, like the heavy work horses. And then there are race horses. And I didn't realize there was all this scribbling here. But yeah, Brenda, I think this one is going into your box. Well, this is pretty cool. Lexi, not good, but I think that's maybe erasable, or maybe that becomes a fussy cut. Yeah, these are, obviously this book is workhorses, so they're Belgians and those kinds of things. Okay, Brenda, you're getting that one. Birding. Now, we've all seen bird guides before. I've never seen one this gigantic. This is 11 by 6.5. The best-selling guide to birds of North America. And don't you just love the image of birds on a wire? Remember when that sort of became a home decor type item? Semi-gloss pages. Oh, look at that. Wouldn't that be great for a masterboard or, a collage? So, photograph distribution of where you would find it. I don't know, is that a habitat type? So I guess basically we can say 2 illustrations per page in addition to the photograph. The field notes, like, so here they're showing a close-up of the head distribution. Sometimes books like this will show the difference between male and female of the species, because of course we know that sometimes the males are the more attractive, have the more attractive feathers. They need all the help they can get. Whereas the females are, you know, the mamas, the desired ones, the sought after ones. Nothing against man. So again, lots of cool possibilities here as well. That also is really nice. I could see that being the background paper on a, you know, like if you had fussy cut an image, well, you know, whichever is the right one, the right color, the right size, and then superimposed it on top of this as a focal point, that could be pretty effective. It's got a mouthful there. So you really can't go wrong, people, with field guides. And as much as I think some of the older ones, did I tell you a year here, are sought after? This is 94, so that's not yesterday. Sometimes there's something to be said for the newer versions as well. So this will go with my bird books. Now, I picked this one up. It is landscape. It's 5 3/4 by... It's kind of coming apart because, of course, this cover... Kind of coming apart. This cover is not robust enough for a book block this big. And we can see so clearly those sewn-in signatures. Oh, and wait, let me get rid of these loose bits of glue. Of course, you know I'm going to pick at that. But even this cover, a shrewd bookmaker would get 4 covers out of this. Discard this piece, unless it's very beautiful on the outside. No, it's not. And you've got 4, well, either enough to make 4 smallish covers, or, you know, be the base for a masterboard, or journaling cards. Now, it would be hard to write on that because it's glossy, but this book is similar to one that I showed. No, I don't know if I... Well, that video may not have aired yet, so I won't bother dragging that up here. Okay, so this said, Heaven and Earth Unseen by the Naked Eye. So let's just take a gander at some of these. So what would this be? I mean, really tiny font. Oh, this is a glossary. Really tiny font. So those pages would be useful. You know, again, when you need differences in font size. But look, oh, this is one signature here. Look at the abstract nature of some of this photography. I know that occasionally people do celestial type journals or celestial themed, you know, ephemera or whatever. So there's a huge bit of that. Like, do you see the possibilities for using this as an art journal? Using these pages in a glue book, doodling on top of the images. Like this, I think that's an ideal starting place. And it just goes on. Now, or is this, oh. So that's Jupiter's moon. Okay. That almost looks like an eyeball. Martian crater. Anyway, you don't need to see every single image. You're getting the point here. Textural bits. And for those of us who aren't afraid of black and the drama that comes with black, these black backgrounds are awesome as well. what are we talking about here now? Or is this, I don't think that's lava. Oh, that's, okay, that's an aerial photo of a river. Look at this. Sudan's irrigated fields. This view of one of the world's largest irrigation systems. The field of view here is about 170 kilometers across. Yeah, that's a bird's eye view, I'd say. The colors. And the miracle here is that all of these things are real. They're not AI. They exist. Blood vessels in the head. Chest x-ray. Abdominal artery. False color arteriogram taken of a healthy person shows the arteries that supply blood to the kidneys, spleen, and liver. The largest vessel running vertically is the abdominal aorta. The backbone is visible behind it. Cool. Ooh, a mole. I don't need that. Small intestine. Human kidney. Now, I suppose they probably say somewhere about the varicose veins. I feel for anybody who has varicose veins. They look to be so painful. Carotid artery. I find fascination with this. Oh my goodness, those are trout hatchlings and a heart valve. I find this fascinating. Just, oh my goodness, this is the inner ear. Slightly magnified. Scanning electron micrograph of the human inner ear. Bromeliad seeds. Oh my goodness, I love this book. Oh, people. I'm having trouble here. A moth wing. A frog spawn. Dragonfly eyes. A leaf skeleton. See, these that are kind of closer to Earth, shall we say, are a little bit more intriguing to me than some of these outer space ones. Fish scales. A mosquito. Oh, mosquito biting. A human cerebellum. Magnified 40 times. Of course, cerebellum is part of the brain. Huh. Okay, the cortex or outer layer of the cerebellum is divided into an outer region, the pale orange, grainy stain, containing nerve fibers, and an inner layer, the smooth orange stain of nerve cells. The branching pale tissue consists of bundles of nerve fibers. When you see that, doesn't it make you want to take better care of your brain? Feed it better, avoid smoking and alcohol and other toxins. I broke down last night and had a drink at the fireman's ball. I didn't need it. I shouldn't have had it, but, you know. Pigment cells. I'm sorry that I'm Look at this. Tartaric acid crystals. Magnified 250 times. Tartaric acid is an organic chemical that occurs naturally in grapes and other fruits and forms a sediment in aged wines. It has a wide range of industrial uses, including carbonated drink and jam production, metal polishing, sandy, wool dyeing, and photographic development and printing processes. Oh, I should probably just keep this on my bedside table and look at a few of these every night. Root hairs. So this is a young root of a beetroot plant, magnified 500 times. Bone tissue. Yeah, maybe I should have kept the cover intact, eh? Instead of thinking, oh, I'm going to rip that up and turn it into an art journal. A rose petal, magnified 2,300 times, is actually covered with tiny humps called papillae. These projections from the petal's surface cells are often swollen and covered with wax to help reduce water loss from the flower. The color here is cosmetic, added layer to make the image look more like a rose petal. Unbelievable. And for those of us who have stopped seeing what is around, this is a human hair, magnified 3,500 times. For those of us who have stopped looking and have stopped seeing, and there is a difference, snails' teeth. Who knew that snails had teeth? Not me. This is, I don't know, could this possibly be my favorite find? And I know that I bogged down this whole haul video. What is the time? Oh, we're just over an hour. I might as well plow ahead and show you that I have 5 remaining books. I will try to not be so self-indulgent. Family Circle, great chicken recipes. I picked this up 9 by 6 1/4. Number one, because it has that vintage look, because it is 1968, originally copyright 1960. Pages are good. Do you know how to stuff and truss a chicken? How to carve a chicken? Because of these illustrations. Now, I probably have enough of this sort of illustration that I may just choose to offer this one for sale. It's kind of a petite size, which, again, it's nice to have that variety in our references or in our the books we use to create our stuff with. The names are large and attractive, and there are possibilities, of course, to use them, you know, in a cooking journal, for instance. Perfect chicken barbecue. Again, yeah, I think this might go in the sell pile, and the condition is phenomenal. That goes on a different pile. Okay. Women Who Changed the World. 10 3/4 by 8 3/4. So we've got Malala, wait, I can't, you know who I mean, Malala, Mother Teresa, J.K. Rowling, Michelle Obama, Diana, Katharine Hepburn, and Oprah. Oh, this was originally a Dollarama book. So, again, don't dismiss Dollarama as a great source for books like this. And there's Anne Frank. That's a pilot helmet or pilot. So is that, I don't know, is that, I don't know who that is. I don't know that woman. Katharine Hepburn and one of the tennis Williams. Is it Serena? Okay, so this is glossy. That's not the best picture ever off Oprah, that's for sure. Serena Williams. So this is alphabetical. So again, for someone like me who's doing those celebration of women journals, you know, maybe a person just does a montage of these faces. Elizabeth I, Margaret Thatcher. Don't know her. Oh, Eleanor Roosevelt. Eva Pearl. Michelle Obama. Hillary. Cleopatra. Madeleine Albright. Malala Yousafzai. Anyway, you know who I mean. Harriet Tubman. And on and on and on. Helen Keller. This too is almost, Frida Kahlo. And then there was Rita Kahlo. And Frank, Coco Chanel. Florence Nightingale. Oh, that's Florence Nightingale there. Amelia Earhart. That's who I was trying to think of, but couldn't. Okay. So I'm going to have to ponder that one and look at it a little more closely. The Life and Times of Sherlock Holmes. This is 12 by 9 1/4. Now, I doubt that I would ever use this. A little boo-boo there, but this is like a fabric cover. It looks like it's in great condition. Oh, and those. You know, there might be people out there who would be interested in buying this book because they want to do a Holmes journal. So these are really cute. Imagine, I don't hope you can see that. Fussy cutting these little teeny guys and turning them, backing them with something, letting them become dangles. Paper's not bad, I have to say. So black and white images. These sorts of book covers. Yeah, so I think that there might be a market for this book, so I'll probably bring this to a sale. Again, a cross-section of, so there's kind of the graphic type images, you know, vintage photos. I guess some movie, you know, stills from movies. You know, this is the sort of book that I can appreciate for what it is, but it isn't necessarily one that I want for myself. But hey, if I'm out there and I think one of you might want it. Okay, 1992. 2 more to go, and we're going to call this a wrap. This book is so heavy. And honestly, I don't know if I already own it. I know I have a really thick, I can't see it. Oh yeah, the Michael's book of paper crafts, but this isn't that. This is the complete book of paper crafts. And it is 12 by, this is kind of a sloppy little cover here, 9, or by 9 by about 1.5 inches thick. So let's see. Yeah, this is, I would say let's throw this out right. I mean, I won't throw it out. I use these sorts of very slippery book jackets as glue pages as well. So I'll add that to my glue page section. And let's see what we have here. And I do, even though, well, that's kind of nice, even though, you know, I understand that there are fads and trends and so on in what's being offered on YouTube in the way of tutorials and projects, and there have been so many advances in products that sometimes you find these how-to books, and if you see an idea that you like and want to give it a shot in 2025, you know, you sometimes need to modify the method, you know, pretend it was a cookbook, modify the method to take advantage of the current products that are available. So this is 1998. So this is going to be kind of a hard one to flip because it's so darn heavy. Paper mache, decoupage, paper cutting and collage, that would be a good section to look at. Decorating paper, paper construction, origami, decorative paper crafts, and paper projects. So I would be interested in seeing especially the decoupage and the paper cutting, and maybe the decorating paper. But we'll do a quick flipperuno. This paper is surprisingly good. Cut all these out and you've got 6 tags right there. Well, you have to choose. You have to choose. So there's several, okay, that's the index. So there's several pages to choose from there. This is huge. I mean, the paper itself is huge. So these are paper flowers. So that could be the start of a glue page. That could be something that you fussy cut. You put gesso over, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so these are just some of the projects. I'm going to go really quickly. Oh, cutout dolls. Okay, so I don't know or if they're providing, I didn't see any patterns at the back, so I don't know. Are you supposed to just draw your own people? What else? What else? What else? Okay, we're still, I think we're still in the projects. Paper mache puppet. Okay, well, I should have been paying attention to what page numbers we want to look at. Maybe I should just go that way instead of trying to flip this big book. Okay, so page 70 is decoupage. 4 tags right there. Could sacrifice that. I doubt that any of us are doing any lampshades. But again, you know, you get, and this is crackle glazed antique print. I did a decoupage tray. I think I showed it in a long ago video. Oak leaf box. I mean, this is done on a mirror frame, but it doesn't have to be. It looks like any of the collages that we do at any point in our day. Shoes in the news. So it looks like newspaper and then sort of fussy cut shoes. Remember when screens had their day? Every room in the house had a screen. Either it was the backdrop to a vignette, or it was maybe hiding something that was not that desirable. Okay, that's a lot of decoupage. Okay, now we're into paper cutting and collage. I've tried paper cutting once with a Ukrainian design. I have to say I wasn't very good at it. But I can admire the artistry that goes into it. Remember when these were kind of popular? Or when they were painted on the backside of a piece of convex glass? Yeah, convex. A bubble glass. Okay, I expected to see more. Those are luminaries. I kind of expected to see more on collage. We're still into paper cutting. If a person could do that, that would be kind of a cool decorative element. Okay, they're calling this cyclist collage. I don't like that. Letter file. Octopus garden. Here they're using corrugated cardboard to make greeting cards and gift tags. Valentine. So this is, I guess, basically looking at it from the perspective of cards, card making. Collage fire screen. Ooh, I don't like that either. Kaleidoscope room divider. So this looks like it's using mulberry. Okay, bleed-proof tissue paper, Japanese paper. Gilded patchwork lampshades, seashore cards, flower collage, parchment paper art. Parchment paper art. So these are some of the paper cutting designs. Okay, decorating paper. So obviously, potato printing. What are we doing here? Stamping. Christmas stripes. Yeah, I think most of us are doing something a wee bit more exciting than this, with our eyes closed and one hand tied behind our back. So maybe not that much to learn from this book, but it is obviously a huge source of imagery. Making your own stationery. Potato printed book covers. I accidentally bought a 10-pound bag of potatoes the other day, not realizing that I still had part of a previous bag. Maybe it was a 5-pounder still in the cupboard. So maybe I should be making potato prints instead of trying to use them up cooking. Okay, I'm stopping there. I'm going to end on a high note. I mean, obviously, those of you who love books will have probably loved most of the titles, but is this not the best book? This is definitely my second copy of this title. However, okay, this book, my ruler isn't long enough, so I'd say it's about 13.5 by 10 3/4. Lovely green cover. I don't know if this one is in better shape than my own. I think my other one is pretty well perfect too. Some soiling there, that probably would wipe off since this is so shiny. This woman, Anne-Marie Treslin, is the illustrator, and this book is magnifico. So I told you it's gigantic. So this, I mean, these are frame worthy. I'm sure, okay, this is 86, so this is clearly still well into being copyrighted. And I think people obviously know more about preserving the rights now than they used to 100 or 2 years ago. So more than likely will never come out of copyright. This is like a family tree of roses, so those could easily be used. Family tree. Now, okay, so the the back of the plate is blank, which means that the description is on the opposing page. Oh, sorry, that's only true for the last one. Obviously, this guy's description is on the back of this page. But can you see page after page after page of possibilities? Roses of every possible color. Let the illustrations speak for themselves. This, well, and then I start talking. This looks like velvet. And you can see some of the roses are very simple. Like the Alberta provincial rose is kind of like that, you know, kind of almost single petals, grows in ditches and so on. You've got, you know, the real, see, I wouldn't consider that a rose, but it's called Dainty Bess. 5 broad petals and a central cluster of unexpectedly vivid stamens. So, no, I don't know about that date. Obviously, 1925 is probably when it was, you know, the cultivar was developed and it was, oh, this rose went on the market in the autumn of 1926. Yeah, so that was when the rose was, that particular variety was, I guess, developed. Anyway, I've kept you far too long. This is rather unique too. So I'm going to end here. I hope that you've enjoyed this long video. I hope you took, you know, I hope you brought snacks and a food source, and well, snacks is a food source, maybe a beverage. And I hope that you found that this last book, if none other, was worth sticking it out with me. So I guess it remains to be seen as to whether or not I would part with this one. Or maybe what might be a better bet is, does it say how many are? 63 watercolors. I guess another possibility is I could deconstruct one of my copies and put together bundles of pages and offer them for sale that way. That way more people would have access to them. And knowing me, I would make sure that the bundles are equally beautiful. In other words, you know, you get a yellow rose and a white rose and a pink rose and a red rose. I think I just figured that out. I think I'm going, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So again, stay tuned for that. Okay, guys, I'm sorry, not sorry that this took so long. I am grateful if you are still here. If you're not, then I'm talking to dead air. And I still have promised you another video with my antiquarian books. So, and I have so many of those that'll probably have to be done in 2 parts. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I cherish you. I value you. I commend you. Thanks. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.